Okay, we're on the bottom of Lam Mem Vav Amid Beis, the bottom line. Let's just get back into it. We had Machlokes Rabbi and Rav Chisda. If you say Choyel, if a person would bake on Yontif for Choyel, you're not supposed to. Would in fact you get Malchus in that? Said Rav Chisda, you would get Malchus. You're over on Chil Yontif. Says Rabba Choyel, it's Roy Bechoizi. If Orchim would show up, you can go ahead and give it to the Orchim. We say Choyel, and therefore you would not get Malchus. We question about Behemim Mesukena. We asked a question of Erev Tavshilin. How is it possible you should be able to cook from Shabbos to Yontif? We said that was because really you're able to cook from Shabbos to Yontif Midaraisa. You're able. That's Rav Chisda answer. You're able to, and the reason you can't is the Rabbanon, because if you let you cook from Shabbos to Yontif, Yontif to Shabbos, you make it from Yontif l'Chayil, and therefore we make a heka by Erev Tavshilin. And we're up to Esivei, where you're going to ask on the Shita that Midaraisa, Rav Chisda said you can prepare from Yontif to Shabbos. That Midaraisa, you're able to prepare from Shabbos to Yontif. Now in the Beis HaMikdash, there was a lechem upon him. It was on the Shulchan. It was baked Erev Shabbos. But after the Korban Musaf, they would bring it. They would take the loaves. They push the old loaves off, and the new loaves would go on, and they would remain there for a week. They would go. 6 of the loaves would go to the Kahanim that are coming in, and 6 of the loaves would go to the Kahanim that are going out. That was the changing of the guard. That was the changing of the shift at that time. Now, when would they bake the lechem upon him? When they would bake it? So they should bake it Erev Shabbos. Now, if you bake it Erev Shabbos, let's say Friday, Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, that's 9 days. So the minimal amount that the lechem upon him can be on is 9 days. Says the Gemara. Esvei, lechem upon him, Amid Aleph, Necha Letisha, it can be eaten 9 days after it's baked. Le'asara, 10 days after it's baked. Ula'acha asar, and 11 days after it's baked. Le'pachais, it can't be eaten less than 9 days. Le'yoser, not more than 11. Ketzad, Kedarka Letisha, Kedarka is for 9 days. Nefa be'erev Shabbos, it's baked on Friday. Nechal b'Shabbos Letisha, it's eaten 9 days later on Shabbos. That's a classic case. Chal Yontif liyos be'erev Shabbos. Let's say Friday is Erev Friday's Yontif. Erev Shabbos is Yontif. So Nechal Shabbos Lasara, you're going to bake it on Thursday, and therefore you're going to eat it Shabbos, which is 10 days later. Shnei Yomim Tovim Shel Rosh Hashanah, 2 Yomim Tovim Shel Rosh Hashanah, right? Then it's going to be baked on Wednesday. So from Wednesday till next Shabbos, not that Shabbos, the next Shabbos is Nechal Shabbos Acher 11 days. If you say in a Doicha Lo Yaseh Shabbos below as Penny, why you are on the thing? Why are you on the second time? That's not Penny. He's frozen. Okay, anyway. The baking's not doicha Shabbos or Yontif, therefore it always has to be the Erev Yontif. So it's either Erev Rosh Hashanah or Erev Yontif of Friday, Erev Yontif, so it's baked on Thursday. Now, the Amid, if you Rav Chisda say, again, Rabbi's asking on Rav Chisda, if you Rav Chisda say, Sorche Shabbos Nase B'Yontif, that you're able to cook from Shabbos to Yontif. The whole reason you can't is the Rabbanon in nature. Why do we know, fellas? The Rabbanon, why do we call it the one? We call it a Shvus. And what do we know? Ein Shvus B'Migdash. So why shouldn't you be able to go ahead and bake it? Why do you bake it Erev Yontif? Nope, bake it on Yontif for Shabbos, no problem. Sarchei Shabbos, the needs of Shabbos could be made. So it's needed for Shabbos. The lechem panim is going to be eaten on Shabbos. So bake it 9 days before. It's Yontif. You told me that Sarchei Shabbos you can do on Yontif, and the whole reason you can't do it is the Rabbanon, the Geyser of the Chayil. But the same is only in the Medina. It's not in the Beis HaMikdash. It's a Shvus in the Mikdash. Ain't Shvus B'Mikdash. So if Yontif falls down on Friday, bake it on Friday, and you won't have 10 days, you won't have 11 days, you'll only have 9 days.
Yeah, but it's Tzarchei that Shabbos, not Tzarchei the next Shabbos.
That's the teretz. Okay. That's the teretz. Says the Gemara, So anyway, v'yam mitzarchi Shabbos nasa b'yontif. Amalei doichi yontif. Amalei says Shalom Kagan. You know what the great thing about this year is? I know no one ever looks ahead. Somebody once said, they cheat, they look in the art scroll. I said, not in my share. They cheat, they look in the Gemara ahead. Not in my share. My share, they are just.
For sure, not me.
Don't say it.
I'm thinking all of it and I'm beaming it to all of you, but you know what I mean. Me a water, please.
Rabbi, if they bake it 12 days before, how do they get around the Lina issue? If it doesn't go on the shulchan.
It wasn't on the Mizbeach. What do you mean they baked it 11 days before?
Only when it goes on the shulchan does it take it out of the Lina. You know?
Where's your Lina problem? But it wasn't Kedusha yet. It's not Kedusha.
We said the oven in the base of English was a klisharis, no?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But it's not a Lina problem. Look at it's not Lina. It never got its Kedusha yet. So now.
Don't you say Shvus B'Mikdash only if you need it? If you don't need to say Shvus B'Mikdash, you don't have to do it on that day.
Again, why not? Why not?
You
The whole reason you're doing it, Aryeh, is because you can't do it. In other words, you're telling me to bake it Erev Yontif because you can't do it. If the reason you can't is the Rabbanon, then you should. In other words, why are you answering it? Why? Again, the whole reason is the Gezerah.
Don't have to bake it on Yontif.
That's the Rabbanon. I hold Sarche Yontif is Doicha Shabbos. I mean, it's permitted, not Doicha. I mean, it's permitted.
Even if you don't have to do it, still Doicha, the Rabbanon is Doicha in B'Mikdash.
Again, you're not gaining anything. It's all the Rabbanon. In other words, there was no decree there. There's no Issa. There's nothing stopping you. There's nothing stopping you, Aryeh. You're not gaining by not doing it. There's no reason not to do it. The whole reason not to do it is Gezerah D'Rabbanan. That Gezerah D'Rabbanan was never made over there. In Eretz Yisrael, they keep 2 days Yontif. They don't keep 2 days Yontif. There's no 2 days Yontif. There's no D'Rabbanan in the Migdosh. So what's the Gemara answer? It's a Shalom's teretz. What does Shalom say? Shvutz kroiva hitiru. A shvus for the next day that's close by, either the day itself or the next day, they mated. But shvus rechaika, a shvus for a week later, it's going to stay the whole time, but lo hitiru. That they didn't permit. Umasava, now. Did I skip? Well, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Damar, Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Sagan. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says the name of Shimon, the son of the Sagan. Doich es yontif, itake, you can bake it. In other words, his always 9 days, guys. Always 9 days, because you're always going to bake it Erev Shabbos. He holds vein doichen es yom tzom, but it won't be if Yom Kippur falls on Friday. My ikalamema. So Yom Kippur, there's no heta of cooking. So there, you moida on Thursday, you'd make the lechem upon him. But if it was a regular yontif, right? If it was a regular yontif, what are you going to say? I mean, it's why can you? If you told me that a shvus rechaika is not daicha, why over here, like Reb Shimon Gamliel, is it daicha? Like Reb Shimon Gamliel, if yontif falls out on Friday, you could bake it on yontif. The only yontif you can't bake it on Friday is if Yom Kippur falls on Friday. And for the Gemara, so Michael Meima, but so Pligi, they argue. Masava, the Tanakama holds shvus kroiva hitiru. That's close by, they matter. And shvus rechaika lo hitiru. And the shvus that's far away, they didn't matter. Umasava, Reb Shimon says no. Shvus rechaika nami hitiru. A shvus that's rechaik also they matter. Yes, Yehuda.
Wait, the week before Rosh Hashanah, they wouldn't know if Rosh Hashanah would come out to be on Friday, would come out to be on Thursday or Shabbos, whenever it was.
It's speaking whether you know that Rosh Hashanah is on that day, you're going to bake it the day before.
But you wouldn't know that a week before.
You don't have to. I have to know just the day before.
Only the day before.
I'm making it the day before.
Right.
Masir Rav Mari. Okay, now we're familiar with this again. I've said this over in this company many times. On Tesai and Nisim, we had the Korban Oimer Matring the Chodesh in the Medina. On Atzeres, on Shavuos, we had the Shtei Lechem, which accompanied the Kipsei Atzeres. The Kipsei Atzeres are unique shlamim because they have a din of Kodesh Kodashim, and they as a result of bringing the Kipsei Atzeres, you ate Shtei Lechem. Shtei Lechem is unique because it was chametz, and like just like the Taida, it's the only 2 cases of chametz by Kodashim by Mincha, and that was mutter al yedei what? Al yedei Shtei Lechem. Now, when did they bake the Shtei Lechem? When did they make him? Says the Gemara. So Masar Rav Mari, Shtei Lechem even necheles can't be eaten like pachas mishnayim, not earlier than 2 days after they bake. For not more than 3 days. Ketzad, nefais the same kasha. Nefais erev yontif. If it's baked erev yontif, necheles liyontif. The shnayim, it's going to be right. It's going to be eaten 2 days later on yontif. Chal yontif liyos achas Shabbos. If yontif falls out after Shabbos, right, necheles the yontif l'shleisha. Baked on Friday. So the fish ain't a deichel is the Shabbos like the yontif. The amit tzarchei Shabbos nasa b'yontif. Hash the Shabbos b'yontif shari. The yontif b'yontif mi boy. Why can't you go ahead and bake it on yontif itself? In other words, on one day, guys, bake it that day and eat it later in the day. If you're telling me that tzarchei Shabbos, a deichel yontif could be is cooking for Shabbos is permitted, so yontif for yontif is permitted. So why don't you just go ahead, wait till after Shabbos, then it's Sunday, and then go ahead and bake the lechem upon it. Right? So it must be that the whole reason that you're able to bake is oil, and there's no oil over here. Kasha on Rav Chisda. And for the Gemara, okay, here I have Gezeres Ukasav. Shiny Hasam, the Omakra, it says by what? It says that by Oichel Nefesh, right? What's the pasuk? Lachem b'lei l'gvaya. The heter of baking on Yontif is for you. It's not for Gavaya. So I can't bake, guys, on Yontif for the purpose of Yontif. What's your kasha on Sunday when it's Shavuos? Bake the lechem upon him. Guess what? There's no heter to bake on Yontif for Yontif. The whole heter of baking is lechem for us, not for the Beis Hamikdash. Therefore, it had to be done 3 days earlier on Friday. He says it's Doicha Yontif. What are you going to say? What are you going to do with the lechem? No, it's according to him. It would be baked on Sunday. So what does he do with the lechem? Right? Lechem v'loy lenachrim. For you, not for nothing. But l'gavoy is permitted. So that was the Torah of the first Moshe. That was the some slave I said yesterday. I looked it up. Some slave says you're not allowed to bake lochem v'loy l'gvoya. It was Pesach when the malachim showed up. How is Avram permitted to go ahead and make all that food for the malachim? How is he permitted to make all the food for the malachim, guys? Right? It was Pesach. You know it's Pesach because it says Leis Chayil Sarah Ben. A year from now, Sarah's going to have a child. So Yitzchak was born on Pesach. Fred the Gemara, great kasha, right? Some Seifa. So you have this Gemara, guys, Lachem v'loy lenachrim, right? So how in the world was Avram Avinu able to go ahead and prepare for what? For Goyim. So some Seifa has a knacket the Keteretz. Since Avram Avinu had the din of a choila sheish basakana, because it was the third day of the Milah, the Mela oil, he was able to cook for himself. He was able to cook for them too. That's his charifis. Hoyle, since he could eat, Hoyle. Since the Hoyle, very, very charifis to Keteretz. Okay, very good. Shalach Rav Chisda l'Rabba biyad Rav Acha bar Rav Huna. Shalach Rav Chisda l'Rabba biyad Rav Acha bar Rav Huna. Mi amin Hoyle. Do you say Hoyle? Do you say Hoyle? Now, guys, Lam de Shigamara. But Tanan, Yesh Chayrish Tlem Echad, it's possible to go ahead and plow one furrow, and you're going to get eight malchus, guys. Watch this. Let's go. Hachayrish Bishar v'chamar v'heim mukdashim v'klei akerem v'shviyis b'yontif v'koyin koyin v'nazir v'beis atuma. Okay, let's go through it. You ready? 1. Shar v'chamar, You're over on working with them together, right? They're mukdashim. They're mukdashim, meaning they're kodesh. Number two, I'm not allowed to work with an animal of touching. Bechar, legizav loy. I can't go ahead and work with an animal of touching. I also can't work with an animal that's a chamar. It's a bedek habayis. It's kodesh bedek habayis. That's called me'ila b'mezid. I can't. That's a lot. No, it's not going to be a karmila, but it's a lot. So that's three. Shar v'chamar together. Shar v'chamar together, right? Working with a shar of kachin. Working with, you're being moil by working a mila deraisa b'mezid with the chamar. It's shmita year. That's 4. It's klei kerem. As you're going by, you're covering up the kalayim. So you're planting kalayim. That's 5. 6. It's yontif. So you're working on yontif. 7. You're a kayin and a nazir, and you're based like faris. So 7 and 8, you got tumah. Anybody want to repeat that quickly?
I'm trying to think. We could put that.
Rabbi, if you were to muzzle the ox, you'd be a chayav a 9th one or no?
I think the Gemara in Makkah says that's not part of the actual avodah. Anyway, so
That's almost like saying there'll be a brief quiz after the shir.
yeah.
What is
Now, listen. Yeah, right. The amrinan hayol. If you're going to say hayol, right, meaning since acharisha leila chayiv hayol v'chazil lekisi adam tzipor. We're one of the, okay, you don't have to know all 8. All you got to know is 1. One of the 8 is that you're chayiv for working on yontif. You're doing charisha on yontif. Now, hoyel is a yontif tikadin. It's a heter. Hoyel, I can use this dirt for something else. I should be potter on the actual charisha. What can I use this dirt for? I'm allowed to shech of oif, a chicken, or a chaya or a deer on yontif, and I need the dirt for the mitzvah of kisei adam of a chaya or an oif. So hoyel, it's roy for chaya v'oif. I should be potter on what? I should be potter on the act of charisha b'yontif. Kasha on Rabbi who says we say hoyel. How are we doing? No
You
good.
laugh? Earth for kisei adam on yontif.
Yeah, of course. The first Mishnah in Beitza. Now, if you shech the first Mishnah in Beitza, you should have it beforehand. But in other words, so again, don't get caught up in the 8. Okay, you do the cheshbon. It's not a difficult cheshbon. The cheshbon is not a hard cheshbon. You got 8 lavim over here. The one lav that we mentioned that we have to know is the act of charisha on yontif. If you're plowing on yontif, you're over on a lav. Frag the Gemara, if you hold of hoyel like Rabba, I should not be over on that lav. Why? Because since it's permitted to go ahead, shech and do kisei adam on yontif, so at this hoyel, since this offer is roy for kisei adam, I shouldn't be chayiv for charish on yontif, and I am. It says 8. Says the Gemara, Amar Papa Shmuel. We're speaking be'avonim mikur zolois. We're speaking about pointed rocks. Now these rocks you can't use for kisei adam. I'm going to get back to these rocks because I'm going to say something a little nishmas Uncle Elliot, who had problems with this. It's fascinating. We'll get back to these rocks in a second. Let's just finish the Gemara. I'll get back to these rocks. Fred the Gemara ru'uyas l'kaitchan. You could break them, and if you break them, then they're roy for kisei adam. Says Gemara, "Ukatisha b'yontif mishari." Is it permitted to go ahead and break clumps on yontif of rocks? Of course not. So memela, that's why you're over on charisha because this is not roy for kisei adam, and therefore we don't say hoyel. Fred Gemara, roy l'kaitchan klachiyad. I can go ahead and break it with a shinoi, and if I could break it with a shinoi, so it is roy l'kisei adam, and if you say hoyel, you should be potter on the charisha on yontif. Says Gemara, B'tzudma was speaking about rocky terrain, and these rocks are not roy for kisei adam. Says Gemara, Tzudma ba'azariya. So good, it's not roy for kisei adam, but how in the world are you planting on rocks? And the Gemara, Tzudma milmayla, it's rocks above, but below it's soft earth, and you can plant in the soft earth. Read the Gemara. So therefore, why should I be chayiv with charisha if I have soft earth? I can use that soft earth for what? For kisei adam. So the chayra, we're back to the original question. Don't say hoyel. You should not, right? The fact that you're chayiv on charisha and yontif, you see, we don't say hoyel. It's right for kisei adam. Elam Amar Ashi, it's speaking betina. It's speaking, we really do say hoyel. But here it's speaking about mud. And mud is roi for zriya, but it's not roi for kisei adam. Kisei adam has to be like a separate granules. It says the word tina by zriya. Who is tina by zriya? Says well, yeah, metunta. If you have, it's very moist. You can plant in it. Okay. So the bottom line is he answered the kasha. The bottom line is really you do say hoyel. However, in the situation over here, the hoyel will be for kisei adam. It's not shayach kisei adam, so it's not shayach hoyel, and therefore I'm chayiv on charisha of what of on yontif. So I have my 8. Now one of the jokes throughout the years in the shir has been about the you'll excuse me rocks that we use to clean yourself when you go to the bathroom. My uncle Al Shalom had big problems with this. Baruch Hashem, I told him that we have Charmin, Anyway, it seems there's a lumdus over here. If you look at Rashi and look at Tosfos, I'll show you something interesting. It says Rashi over here, it says Be'avonim, Chazi l'kisoy. It's not Chazi l'kisoy. Now notice, what's the Dibra Maskal, guys? Avonim, correct? What does the Gemara say? Avonim mikruzolos, pointed rocks. Now if you look at Tosfos Be'avonim mikruzolos, Pirish, Rachos, they're soft. They're soft. These are Charmin rocks. They're soft. Shehein ru'uyas l'zriya, miu leichazi l'kisei at sheyichpesh. Not roi for what? For covering the dam until you break them up. The Gabi Beisa Kisi Nami says Tosfos regarding using them as a cleansing agent. Lefi shehein rachos, since they're soft, ru'uyas yoisel l'kinuach. The roi more for wiping mikshein koshem than when they're hard. For like a pirish akuntris, the pirish hashlam perakira mikuzolos chadois. They are what? They are pointed. The hachalei shapir, because then it doesn't come out good. Why would a person want to use what? Those kind of rocks. Anyway, for Rashi machu kan min asfarim. Guys, if you take a look, Rashi noticed he doesn't say mikuzolos. He just says avonim. He just says rocks. Because again, he's avoiding the whole issue. He's avoiding these are not avon mekuzoles of parakira fame that we use for what? For going to the bathroom. These are regular rocks. That's why he doesn't say mekuzoles. Tosfos says that. So Tosfos is telling you that it's not a stira because Rashi over here is saying it's a different rock than the one that's being used. So like Rashi comes out is pointed rocks. Uncle Elliot had a problem with that. Like Tosfos, it's rocks that are basically soft in nature. If there's such a rock there, okay. Anyway,
Why couldn't we use a dirt for a mitzvah?
I don't think. I don't think my smicha is l'shchiach klal. I would say. Jesus said yesterday. We don't say hoil by l'shchiach klal. Moshe, yes. Why don't we say the dirt be used for a mace mitzvah and you still say hoil? So I want to go ahead. I told him the Tosfos that we said on the Yom Beis yesterday. Again, Tosfos on the Yom Beis. Yes. How could you ever be over any malacha on Shabbos? Since if you say hoyel, you could say it's roi for what? For a choyle sheish basakana. So every Shabbos should be mutter. Why? Because it's roi for choyle sheish basakana. It's like a Shabbos. So why don't we say hoyel? So Tosfos said it's not it's shliach klal. So I'm answering Moshe the same teretz. It's the base mitzvah shliach klal. It's a good teretz. Esrei Abaya. Abaya would answer the following. Okay, more of this. Now, guys, do you remember we had the Gemara of Yesh Begidim B'Noisen Tam, La'im Begidim B'Noisen Tam, in the Gera Nasha? Is it considered a piece of wood or is it considered meat? So this is going according to the Deya that Yesh Begidim B'Noisen Tam, that it has meat. We had the sugya of Taruvis, we had it. Now, Hamavashal Gera Nasha B'Cholav, B'Yantif, you cooked it for Oichle and you ate it. How many Averis do you get? So like a chomesh, you're gonna get 5 malchus. We're gonna have 2 for eating and 3 for cooking. Like a mishum mevashel get a gid b'yontif. You cook a gid on yontif, fellas. The only cooking that's permitted on yontif is one that's a cooking of heta. Obviously, you cook yesterday that you can't eat. You cook the shloile tzorich, so you're over on a melechus yontif. For like mishum oichel gid, you ate to get anasha, which is asa. 2. For like mishum mevashel basa b'chalav. Again, we're going with the day that yesh begidim b'naisin tam that has a din of basar. Memela you cook basa b'chalav is 3. For like mishum oichel basa b'chalav, you ate basa b'chalav is 4. For like mishum havara, you lit a fire for something that you didn't have a right to light a fire for. You lit a fire for something you didn't have a right to light a fire for. That's 5. If you're going to say like Rabbi, the din of Hayo, Avara Laila Chayev, you shouldn't be Mechayev Avara. Hayol the Chazi Laila Tzarchai, since you could use it to cook other stuff, real stuff, right? So why, if you say Hayol, why you Chayev 5? If you say Hayol, you should only be Chayev 4. Again, I got guys, 2 eating gid, eating basa b'chalav, 3 cooking. Cooking gid on yontif, cooking basa b'chalav, and the one that we need is havara lighting the fire, right? Havara is lighting the fire. This is the charisha of the last example, last kasha. So mechayef for lighting a fire in yontif that I don't need, I could use it. I could use it for cooking real stuff. So why don't I say, why am I, if you, how can you tell me you say hoyel? If I say hoyel, I should only be chayev 4, not 5. That's the Gemara's kasha.
Yeah, but the Tzarcha wouldn't be, the Tzarcha wouldn't be immediate. It would be following. It would be following what he's doing.
Hesh, hoyel means since you could. You don't have to do anything. Hesh, you don't have to. When you go ahead and say hoyel, you don't have to cook the food for arachim since you could. That's what it means. Since you could, you don't have to actually do it.
But here we did an Easter.
Hesh,
but what he
lit the
did
fire,
was an Easter, though.
Heshi, when he lit the fire,
that was fine. Fine.
And then he cooked Gid Anasha in it. So the whole reason he lit it was for the Gid Anasha. You're telling me you chayiv malchus. Fred the Gemara, why you chayiv malchus? Hoyle, since this food could be used for something. That's enough. That's Hoyle.
Okay.
That's what Hoyle is.
Yeah.
Says the Gemara, okay, you're right. Amalei, so he told him, Abaya to who? To Rabbi. So Amalei, Apik Havara, out of the 5, go delete Havara, Va'ayel Gira Nashev Shel Nevela, and insert the Gira Nasha of Nevela. It happened to be that this Gira Nasha was from an animal that didn't have a shchita. So now I have 2 cookings, cooking gid, cooking basa b'chalav, and 3 eatings, eating nevela, eating gid, and eating basa b'chalav. And I took havara out, and now I don't have a kasha from hoyel, because there is no hoyel here. The problem is, we had a mesorah on here that the 5, 3 were for cooking, and 2 were for eating. What we have now is 2 for cooking, basa b'chalav and gid, and 3 for eating, nevela, gid, and basa b'chalav. That's my problem. Fred the Gemara kasha, Aiva Tani Reb Chia loike shtaim al chilasoi gid and basa b'chalav ushalosh al bishuloi, and that's cooking basa b'chalav, cooking gid and avara v'yisa. And if you're telling me that yechayev for you took out avara shalosh al chilasoi boile, you should have 3 for eating and 2 for cooking, not vice versa. Ella afik havara, take out avara, va'ayel atzei muktzah. Muktzah, you have wood shed, you were makatzatas, you're not going to use them. You went ahead on Yontif, you went to the shed, you took out the wood, and this was muktzah, and you went ahead and used that. So there's no hoil, and there's no hoil on that. There's no hoil on that. Every time you use the atzei muktzah, you chayev, each and every time. Muktzah der Fred Gemara, you're telling me that muktzah you're going to get malchus for? But muktzah daraisahu, you said you got chayev 5 malchus, and one of them is burning the atzei muktzah, so it must be muktzah daraisa. So I'm like in muktzah daraisa. We spoke this out, fellas, when we did the sugya of Nehemiah ben Chachalya. We said that there's like different muktzahs. There was the muktzah of Shlomo HaMelech, his father's lying there. David was lying dead, and then it was the muktzah. He saw all the kalim. So that was the kalim that we did. That's the rabbanon in nature. But there's a muktzah set aside that nevela, the dogs. We said we feed it to the dogs. Nevela. That was the muktzah of Shlomo. Anyway, it says over here, this muktzah is the rice according to one opinion. It says v'haya by the mon. It says v'haya b'yom hashishi v'chinu es asher yaviu. It's on the 6th day. You should prepare that you brought. Now it doesn't mean you should prepare because it says bashlu afu bashlu. It says the lashon of the pasuk. You can cook what you cook, bake what you can bake. So what it means is hachana. This is called the hachana of Rabbah, guys. In Beit this is called the hachana of Rabbah. The hachana of Rabbah is so. But I told you before, it really has no shaykhs to that. The hachana before was 2 different types of muktzah. The muktzah, but this is not that type of muktzah. This is really the hachana of Rabbah. The chinu esheyaviu b'asar mehacha m'leisasa kol malacha. So l'chayra, that's the chiyuv. One for eating bas b'chalav, one for eating giranasha, one for cooking giranasha, one for cooking bas b'chalav, and for cooking it in atzei muktzah. Amalei. So Abaye said to Rabbah, 1 second, Rabbah. You're telling me that muktzah is the raisa? But adhu the amit, you told us the following. Boy minei mi Rav Chisda. Ask the following shayla from Rav Chisda. The Imrila, others say, boy minei Rav Huna. Others say, the shayla is asking Rav Huna. Hevi seh me afar. If you bring a seh from the wild, it's the yontif. This seh was nowhere to be found. You didn't have your mind on it. It wasn't in your corral. It was in the achu. It was in the swamp. And now you bring it. You check it. It has no mum, and you're going to bring it as the carbon tamid. So you went ahead and you bring it as the carbon tamid. Mahu, what's the din? Can you on carbon yontif? Can you use this animal? Now, the pasuk is in Yecheskel that if you have guys ois v'had gemaras or even article gemaras that have the pasuk on the side, this is a very important pasuk to know. The pasuk says in Yecheskel, the se achas min atzoin min hamasayim mimashke Yisrael. This again, the se echad, the se we're going to darshan, echad we're going to darshan, min atzoin we're going to darshan, min hamasayim we're going to darshan, mimashke Yisrael. We're going to darshan every ois of that pasuk. So the first ois we're going to darshan is the following. Again, you brought a seh from the swamp and you shechted a carbon tamid and yontif. What's the din? Is it a good carbon? So now, for Ad Amarlon, and you, Rabbi, Abaye is talking, and you told us, Abaye, Rabbi, Allah, seh, it says seh, v'loy b'char. A seh, and not a b'char. A seh is mashma, anything that's right to be bein zacha, bein nekeva, right? And b'char is only a zacha. Places ask an oila, a carbon tamid is an oila, is only a zacha. You'll see Taisus on your own time. Achas, pasuk says achas, v'loy maisa. Achas means it's not 1 from 10. It means it's 1. It's unique. So you can't use maisa behema as a tamid. Minat soin. The pasuk says minat soin. V'loy apalgas. A palgas is 13th month. A seh is a year. An ayil is from the 14th month. The 13th month, as we say, it's nishtahi and nishtaher. It's not a seh, it's not an ayil, it's a palgas. So as minat soin v'lei palgas. Mina mesayim. Now, mina mesayim means from 200, meaning mi muta shtei meyos nishtayru bebar. This is speaking about nesachim. That if you take nesachim out of the bar, you take a min masayim that you have left over 200. So we learn from here, this is a remes to the fact that orla is bottle in 200. You're taking wine that's nesachim from a bar of 200. That whatever's going to be left over in the bar is 200. Here, orla is bottle in masayim. The last part of the pasuk is mimashki Yisrael, from the banquet of Yisrael. Min hamutar Yisrael. A carbon has to be something that's mutar for Yisrael to eat. Mikan amru, ein mevin nesachim min hatevel. You can't bring nesachim from tevel because tevel, untithed produce, cannot be eaten. Yachal lo yavi min hamuktzah. I might think that what? That you can't bring from muktzah, you can't bring nesachim from something you were mekatzadas. Armit, you said the following. Ma tevel meyuchet, she'isa gufa garim loy, avkol she'isa gufa garim loy, yatsa muktzah, she'in isa gufa garim loy. Tell us, why is tevel asa? Because of a side factor, another din, or is it asa because innately itself, its essence is asa? And the answer is, in its essence, it's asa. Why is muktzah asa? Is muktzah asa on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Nope. What makes it asa? Shabbos. There's something else that causes the asa. Tevel's asa the whole week. It doesn't make a difference. It's in itself is asa. Muktzah is only asa because of Shabbos. So memela muktzah would be permitted from the sachin. Muktzah would be permitted from the sachin. Now here's a bias kasha. Again, let's go back in time. We needed a fifth malchus from a person who went ahead and cooked basa b'chalav, gid, 8 basa b'chalav, 8 gid. We took out avara, we stuck in atzei muktzah, and we said you're getting malchus for using muktzah. So a bias questioning Rabbi on that nekuda that muktzah is deraisa. Frankly, Mari has the kasha. The amit issa muktzah deraisa. You're telling me the issa muktzah is deraisa. Mali issa gufa, mali issa davar acher. Who cares what the issa is? You should not be able to use the muktzah for nesachim. It's asa deraisa to use muktzah. So who cares? It's caused by something else. So obviously it must be muktzah din rabbanon, and therefore we have a problem. Where's the fifth malchus by cooking the gid nasha? For oid ha'athu da'amit chilik melachas l'Shabbos ve'ein chilik melachas l'Yontif. So how now by Shabbos we have separate guys. By Shabbos we have separate malachas, meaning 39 malachas you can be over. On Yontif we say there's no chilik malachas. There's only one. So you're telling me you chayiv twice. You chayiv once for cooking the gid on Yontif. That's a Yontif ticket in. It's not us to cook the gid ad nasha. It's us to cook bas b'chalav. The issue of cooking the gid is you're cooking something that's us on Yontif. So the issue is cooking on Yontif. And now you're telling me you're using atzei muktzah, which is also Yontif. It's daraisa. Why would you be chayiv twice? So there's two kashas. One, how could you get malchus? It's mashma, it's the rabbanon. Because if it wasn't the rabbanon, you should not, if it's the raisa, you should not be able to use it in the sachin, if it's muktzah. And secondly, how can you tell me that it's the raisa, that it's a din in yontif? If muktzah is the raisa, you wouldn't get two malchus, one for cooking gid on yontif and one for using atzei muktzah on yontif. Those are two yontif tikadinim, and there's no chilik in those malachas. So l'chayru, we're stuck now. What exactly is the fifth malchus when you cook bas b'chalav a gid at nasha on yontif? Okay, says the Gemara, Ella lashon charata, afik havara, take it havara again, and this is all predicated upon hayil. This is all Ella afik havara va'ayil atzei ashera. You know what? You're chayif using the wood of a baydazara. V'ashara mehacha le'yidabek b'yadchem umot. Should not be in your hands. What? Anything from it. Menacherim. Amar v'achaber the Rav Alabaya v'nilkanami mishum lo'savet te'eva el beisecha. You put a television into your house, right? Like why you chayiv? In other words, you're taking atzei ashera. You should get 6 malchus, guys. One for bringing an atzei ashera into your house. Ela afik havara. You're right. V'ayel atzei hegdish. Go ahead and take out avara. Again, remember we need a cooking, guys. We need a cooking. We need 3 cookings. We got basa b'chalav, we got gid anosh on yontif, and now we're using. We failed with atzei muktzah, we failed with atzei ashera, and now we're trying atzei hegdish, right? V'ashara mehacha v'ashereim tisufun be'esh le'sasim kein la'Hashem elokechem. And their ashereim, their trees, their ashera trees, you should burn an eish. You should not do that to Hashem your God. Okay, so now we have the 5th. So the 5 malchus are 1, cooking gid on yontif, 2, cooking basa b'chalav, 3, eating gid, 4, eating basa b'chalav, and 5, using atzei hegdish to go ahead and cook it. Bez Hashem, tomorrow we will, sometime in the morning, be on the air. If not, it's available on
Good, thank you.